Hi, it's Glenn Dietzel here, live from Las Vegas at an exclusive location, the Vegas Sandcastle. I'm here for the week with my Omega Mind clients, so I won't be doing today's Google Hangout live. You'll be having access to a recorded training event that I did. You're absolutely going to love it. You're going to learn a ton, and I look forward to our next live Business Breakthrough Google Hangout together. Have a great one, everyone, and I wish you were here live with my clients. We're having a great time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Business Breakthrough Google Hangout. It's Glenn Dietzel here, coming live from our international office, and today I'll be interviewing Callan Flukiger, one of our clients, and look forward to sharing his wisdom and our wisdom collectively to assist you to create business breakthrough on our Business Breakthrough Google Hangout. So I'm excited to have Callan here today, and I'm going to be asking him a number of questions. I really recommend that you've got paper and pen and you jot some notes down, and I addressed a couple of pain points that I think that all of us have. In fact, knowing this industry as well as I do, having been a mentor, a coach, a consultant, for over 12 years in over now 120 industries, working with many of today's leaders in multiple industries. I can tell you that there are two pain points that every entrepreneur has, especially coaches, consultants, and trainers, where you're not selling physical products. You're selling intangibles like your IP, your advice, your life experiences, your talents, your skills. And the two big problems that I see entrepreneurs having today more than ever, especially coaches, consultants, and trainers that want to lead their industry, is number one, undervaluing their advice, and secondly, overthinking. And overthinking, as you've probably heard my mantra in the past, overthinking leads to indecision, indecision leads to hesitation, and hesitation leads to procrastination. And the best definition I know of with procrastination is not that you're not going to do something, but you're going to do it tomorrow. And that is certainly a problem that plagues every entrepreneur. It plagues me. It plagues Callan. It plagues you. I can guarantee you there's not one of us that are executing the way that we could be. And so these Business Breakthrough Google Hangouts are really focused on helping you create a breakthrough, and most importantly, helping you achieve the goals, the dreams, the desires that you have for your company in 2015. So I'm going to interview Callan here today, and Callan's coming to us live from the Scottsdale, Phoenix area of Arizona. It's a little warmer there than it is here. And Callan, I want to thank you for coming here today on our call. I know you're incredibly busy, and I look forward to talking with all of our listeners about how our training, and especially Omega Mind, which is one of our high-end programs, has assisted you to really accelerate your business in 2014 and into 2015. So welcome, Callan.
Hey, good to be here, Glenn. Coming to you, like I said, from the desert retreat down here in the desert. And yeah, it's almost 70 today, 68 degrees in Fahrenheit, which is about 20 for you guys up there.
All right, good. And Callan, just so all of you know, don't be fooled. He is part of one of us up here.
True enough. I'm dual national, so I have an office up there in Edmonton as well, so I'm in my U.S. office right now.
Yeah, okay, good. And pardon me if you see me and you've been following us on our Google Hangouts, I might look like I'm in the shadows today, and it's not because it's cloudy here today. It's actually very sunny, but we've had some issues with our lighting here today, and all my backup lighting for my Google Hangouts are back at the Canadian Lake Home, which is another residence that we own, and we do our intensives there, etc. But we've been making some moves back and forth, and I forgot my backup lighting today, and so if you don't mind me being in the clouds a little bit, that'll highlight the sunshine of Arizona today. So without further ado, Callan, let's get moving here. Describe your business before you and I first started working together.
So my business, before you and I started working together, which was about a little over a year ago, I had a consulting and coaching business. I was successfully growing it, not as fast as I want, and that indecision and procrastination is true of all of us. And I'm the execution mentor, and I execute better than almost anyone I know. And that's part of my business, is to help others do the same. But notwithstanding that, I was still looking for ways to grow faster and better. And I was speaking on a stage at the same place Glenn was, and that's where we met. And so in that time, which was about 14 months ago, I think, or 15, I was growing a business, consulting, coaching, and teaching people how to grow their own gifts and talents. So that's where I was 15 months ago.
Kellen, if we could go back in time, what was, we all have a resistance at some level of investing in ourselves. I think, and I don't know why this is, some of us invest easier than others. What was your greatest resistance to investing in coaching?
I'll tell you why. I was a coach, and I had been very successful in my corporate world. I had been a C-level exec in 2 countries and very successful at not just being a corporate exec, but going into places, troubleshooting, building powerful teams, and creating incredible results. So I had been doing that. So I'm like, hey, I already know how to do this. I'm king of this sort of thing. Why in the world do I have to have somebody show me how to do stuff that I already know how to do? That was number one. And number two, because I knew from stories that it was so hard to pick, and so many people selling things that did or didn't work and all that stuff. And I had already, by this time, at the time Glenn and I met, invested in a number of different things, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 numbers of dollars, however much, and, gotten mixed results, some good, some bad. And so like every single person listening to this broadcast right now, oh, I don't want to spend any more money. What if it's creepy? And the other thing is, am I going to really use it? So there's always a fear of that it's not good enough, the fear that the guy's a fake or the gal's a fake, or the fear that I'm going to not implement. And those are the 3 fears that people have, whether they articulate them or not. And I had a little bit of all of them, even though I am the execution mentor and proudly own that title.
Callan, thank you for sharing that with us. What was it exactly that made you invest with me in the first place, if we can go back in time?
Well, some people take a long time to make decisions. I'm extremely decisive, and that's what made me very successful in my corporate career, because in difficult things where literally tens or $50 billion is at stake in some of the industries I came in to do troubleshooting in, being decisive is dangerous, because you can do things that cost staggering amounts of money, billions and billions, and so people were hesitant, and consequently it led to the procrastination and indecision Glenn talked about, and legislators wouldn't act, and it was literally in legislation and House of Congress and all that kind of stuff. People wouldn't act and they would be scared, and so I'm decisive. I would go in, and you have to be good to be decisive, okay, so that you can't just go decide stuff. But I knew and had confidence in myself that I knew what I was doing, and I could fix on the way what didn't work. So I was willing to be decisive. Now, given that, the thing that made me decide to work with Glenn is I listened to his presentation the day after my stage appearance, and I heard him speak, and I thought, I think that this particular system has something different for me that I can use to grow my business better than I'm doing right now, so I'm going to do it. And I decided in just a few minutes, because that's who I am, and I see Glenn playing with the lighting back there. Maybe some of your lighting is coming in and on. But anyway, that's what made me decide. I was just decisive, and I did it.
No, I'm not playing with the lighting.
Your bricks got light all of a sudden. I don't know if it was your camera.
Not sure what's going on. Maybe it's just the glow of your radiance.
I thought maybe an angelic ministrant had showed up in your office. Anyway, proceed.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Callan. I just want to bring out something that you said, and I know you'll appreciate this because you are a fast decision maker, but the most successful entrepreneurs and business owners that I have always seen are those that are able to make fast decisions. And sure, there's always a risk, right, whenever we make a fast decision, but it certainly needs to be calculated. You are excellent at making fast, calculated decisions, and that's what today's leaders in their industries have to be able to do. So congratulations on that. Let's, Kellen, what I'd like to do right now actually is just to show everybody here what's going on at the Canadian Lake Home. We do this every week, and just a little break here. And I'm going to share my screen here so that everybody can see it. And Kellen, you'll appreciate that you don't see this when you look out your window at the Desert Retreat Center, but that's what we see at the Canadian Lake Home. That was shot last night, and you'll see the lake. It looks pretty cold.
Yeah, it looks frozen, not cold. Frozen.
Yeah, it's quite cold. So anyways, let's move forward here. Let's just really be clear with all of our viewers and those that are watching the broadcast. How long were you actually following me before you made a business decision to invest in our program?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
An hour. I watched your 90-minute presentation. Okay. We had 90-minute slots, so I'm exaggerating a little. I listened to the 90-minute slot, and Glenn's good at stage speaking, and he's good at closing, and he's good at all those things that people want to be good at. So let's make no mistake about it. But I'm also pretty good at seeing all that. I'm older than he is, and I've been around corporate longer. And so I get it. I knew what was going on, and I could see it all. But through all of that, I could see without any doubt that I knew there was something there that would be useful for me and help me grow faster. So I followed him for 90 minutes. Watching his presentation. I had never heard of him before that day. I talked to him afterwards for a few minutes, and we made a deal. So that was it.
When did you first learn about re-engineering your competitive advantage while working with me?
I don't remember when you first talked about that, the first time I heard you describe it that way, and so I can't remember, sometime in the last 15 months. Diagramming it and re-engineering, you've talked about re-engineering. First of all, specifying your competitive advantage in clear, decisive, easy to understand terms, making sure that it applies to what you just said, which is about people's ability to implement it quickly, and then making a diagram of it so that people can see it, because pictures are so powerful in communicating it. And I've tried several different ways of diagramming it, and all of them have been successful in various ways, but just for fun, because I'm always tinkering with things. So engineering, describing, engineering, and diagramming your competitive advantage, which means why are you better? We say these words, and for me it's like, okay, competitive advantage. That means what sets me, Kellen, apart from everybody else that does what I do. Why am I better? Or what's Glenn's? Why is he better? How do I draw a picture of what that means? And then that makes it clear to people see, oh, you're better because that picture.
The type of entrepreneur that I love working with, Kellen, is somebody like yourself. They're quick thinkers, they're decisive decision makers, and they're fast implementors. Let's take a look, if you will, and contrast the kind of deals that you were closing before you started working with me and the kind of deals that you're closing today.
Well, I think the biggest deal that I had closed, and so here's the thing, Glenn and I haven't talked about this ahead of time, so he doesn't have any idea what I'm going to say. But my business was already growing, so I expected to make improvement and growth in 2014. So I'm going to give you some numbers here, and I am not going to say, well, Glenn, you did everything for me, because that would make it sound hypey. But I am going to say that significant progress and big pieces of what I created have mattered, okay? And I'm doing that because this is authenticity, and I don't want it to sound just like hype for Glenn and his programs, which I like. So before, I think the biggest deal that I had closed was in the low 5 figures, 10, 15,000-ish. I'm trying to remember the dates. But in the $10,000 to $15,000 range were probably the lowest or the largest deals that I had closed. And the biggest deals that I close now are near 100,000. So we're a factor of 10 higher in 15 months. Some of that would have happened organically because I was working my tail off, and I'm smart and quick and fast. But I absolutely, without question, would give a significant piece of credit, if you want to call that, to what I learned and implemented in Glenn's stuff that he's going to has already talked about and does every time we interview somebody like me. And I want to be specific, you know, the diagramming a competitive advantage, the ability to make a decision, the ability to trust yourself and then do things on the fly, the ability to trust your own knowledge and that you have powerful stuff to do. All of those things are part of what he does, some bigger parts, some lesser parts. But all of those pieces were amplified, and I think part of it is the chemistry too, because I understand Glenn as a person, as a businessman, where he's been, where he comes from. And he does me too. And so in that ability, we were able to leverage that. And I, like everybody says, you know, Frank Kern, I can't promise you your results. But what I can tell you is that there's value there. I gained significant value. So 15 to 100,000 is a big jump. And significant pieces of that were due to some of the principles and applications I learned in Glenn's gig.
Talk to us about what you learned about attracting bigger and better clients.
I learned, and again, it's hard to say exactly how or why, but what you learn, what I've learned this year is don't waste your time. If you come at clients with the idea of, I got to close this deal, I might get $500, I'll discount it, no, $1,000, and that kind of feeling, it smells like that. You stink. You smell like that to a client, and so they get suspicious of you. So I'll give you an example. I coached somebody who's not even a client, who's a friend of mine, who was panicked. He was worrying. He called me for help. He's not associated with Glenn's group. Somebody else that I know in another mastermind and just a friend that I'd met in this other place. I coached him on that very thing, chasing the big deal, having confidence in what you are, knowing your value, and I coached him for an hour on the phone for free. Okay, now that hour's worth a lot of money, as you'll see in a minute, because he texted me in joyful glee the next morning and said he'd closed a $12,000 deal, which was the biggest he'd ever closed in his life, directly and specifically because he did exactly what I told him, period. And he wrote it down in a nice little text for me, so I have this nice little testimonial that I gave to him. But it was because I told him how to think about the client, how to think about the big deals. Chase the people that want what you have and that have the opportunity to do something big with it. If you're chasing someone, if they do exactly what you say, nothing's going to happen. They're not a good fit. Chase people that if they leverage what you teach them will turn a big corner and make a big deal. And then you have the chance to demonstrate staggering leverage, which is what I did with this friend of mine.
What are some of the tools and systems that you've learned from me, Kellen, about positioning and closing high-end deals?
So we talked about diagramming a competitive advantage. The first time we talked about that, I really didn't pay attention. I understood the power of diagrams, and I'd used them a lot in my executive work, but I hadn't really given enough consideration to that. And as the year wore on, I started messing with some pictures and trying to figure out, because I always felt like, this is particularly true for the coaches and consultants out here, that your ability is this sort of woo-woo thing. You do some cool stuff and you say some cool stuff, and that's nonsense. It is a particular approach, and your ability as a coach is in your language and your ability to inspire and all that jazz. I get that. But you do not have a true mastery of your skill until you can draw a picture of it, until you can show somebody why it matters and why what you do is better than someone else, and be able to contrast it with a picture of what other people do. A picture. This is what everybody does. This is what I do. This is why it's different, and this is why it's special. And I like triangles. Glenn uses circles, but Venn diagrams, whatever. But I like, he taught me, and this is one that I do attribute to that, to creating that picture. So that's one. Creating a picture that somebody can look at and say, duh, that's what you do. Cool. Wow, that's different. All right. So that's one. Another specific thing is, you talked to us about a particular private letter, which is positioning the person in a way that appeals to their vanity, positioning the person in a way that acknowledges their coolness. And so you got to remember, selling is not about you being cool. It's about you making the other guy think he's cool. And he's going to be more cool if you get to help him, humbly and nicely. Because if you walk in there and strut, the first thing you did is you put up a wall and nobody wants to talk to you, because the only thing they're interested in is explaining why you're a jerk and why you're strutting. And so if you don't do that and you come in with the idea of service, and yeah, you can sort of roll out all of the cool other things you've done, but you don't do it in a bragging way. You make them feel cool, and you then help them see how they'll be more cool. That was emphasized to me by the private letter, which is a particular principle that you teach, whether it's written or video. I'm a video dude because I'm animated and I connect with people and I make people feel stuff really powerfully on video. So I do everything in video. But I don't diss the word thing, because I just like video better because I'm easy and I never am at a loss for words. Those are the two things I can think of immediately. I'm sure there's more, but if I think of another one, I'll throw it in.
No, I think one of the things I want to underscore, Kellen, is the fact that the human mind remembers visually and spatially. So all of you want to write this down, that the human mind, your potential candidates for your programs, understand what you do if you can create a visual spatial representation of your or for your competitive advantage, and especially in a way that contrasts what your competitors fail to do. Kellen, why don't you discuss with everybody some of the activities that we do in Omega Mind and that I assist our clients with, because you know it's all about pitching deals. And knowing how to pitch deals very strategically. You mentioned one of the tools, you know, and some of the tools that we use are executive summaries, and we've got a consultative process that runs 10 steps, and all of these different tools and systems that all of our clients have access to. But what stands out from the 3-day intensives that I do with our clients, and that you've again moved forward with us in 2015 to work with me and myself with you. What have you seen? What have you learned from those 3-day intensives?
I've been to lots of seminars, and so have you probably. And most seminars are an exercise in note-taking with some marginal sort of momentary or 5-minute breaks where you stand and tell the person next to you or in a little group of 3 or 4 what you've learned and how you're going to do it, and you get little moments to network and do that sort of thing. Those are nice. And those are effective because you can take away a lot of cards and connections, and I have done that, and I've gotten clients at those kinds of events, and I've gone and learned things. So I'm not dissing anybody's approach, but it is elementary. It is the first step in an event where you go and you learn and you write things down, and sometimes they give you the books with the fill in the blanks so you can't leave the room and all the NLP tricks. Okay, fine. Those are effective, but they are elementary. They're like elementary school. And so when you go to those over and over again, even though they're relanguaged, and even though there are new tools brought in and new pieces of software people wrote and, you know, the idiot-proof template for this, that, and the other thing, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you simply, in the moment, under the ether, like salesmen all say, when you're got the seminar high, you write this down and you babble some important things, but you go away and you don't really know how to start doing it. And something that we do differently, and that you've organized this, is we take significant time to actually practice things. So go do this. And so you go do some things. We actually produce some things, and then people get up and they talk about what they did, and they get to have some critique. And so the meetings are small, 10 people or so. That is something that I like and that I have modeled. Small, intensive events, 3-day, where I have 6 to 10 people, so that I can do the very same thing. Now, I've always been one on implementation anyway, so that's how I did it anyway. But I love what we did at Omega Mind, which is the practice of doing these small implementation times, not for 5 minutes, but for 5 hours. Not all at once, but spread out through the day. So you get as much time to practice as you get to take notes. Because at the end of the day, the notes are nothing. What matters is what you do. And if you can't figure out how to do something with the notes, you're dead. And the best way to figure out what to do with the notes is to try it there and get some feedback. If you try it there and get some feedback and it sucks, and then that's all you do and you go home, at least you know that wasn't the right way, and you can continue to move forward. And Glenn provides lots of support during the week and stuff by having some hangouts and things that he does, so that's good. But here's the thing. The difference in Omega Mind is, one, it's small. 2, it's not where you take notes, but you also get to practice. And because you get so much time with each other, you actually do create some really good relationships that, for me, have also been good, because I've ended up with some clients from Omega Mind as well, doing this unique and special things that I do. So that is the really powerful difference. It's small, and we get to practice and do the things there that are important. Now, that doesn't take away your need to go away and execute, but the structure of the 3 days I really like for those reasons.
Kellen, I'll see something here that I know you've benefited from, and is the Desert Retreat. And one of the systems that we teach, we've got micro business acceleration systems, macro business acceleration systems, and one of those is to assist all of our clients, like yourself, on how to strategically organize yourself and brand yourself bigger. So talk to us about what you've done in Omega Mind as in creating the Desert Retreat Center.
Yeah, thank you. That is one that I really like. Glenn talked about the Canadian Lake Home. That's cool. And so I went away and immediately, I have a nice big house. It's in the desert, and I called it the Desert Retreat. And I started using it, and I use it in my Facebook and everywhere else. And now if I start typing in a location, it shows me Desert Retreat. There's been enough people here and enough events here and enough people tweeting and posting and stuff from here that it is now a place that can show up. And so that branding and that ability for me to do that and say we're holding it at the Desert Retreat, and I even held one here in June when it was 680 billion degrees, and we made jokes out of it. We're burning away all the dross out of your bad system, whatever. So it worked, and it was cool, and it was fun, and that was a cool thing that I did. I wouldn't have thought of doing that. I don't know if I would have. I didn't. That's where it came from. So it came from that, and I thought, yeah, he's got that Canadian Lake Home and shows frozen pictures on the lake. Fine, I can take beautiful pictures of superstitions and make the Desert Retreat. I did. It worked. I think it's cool.
You know what? We're heating up here, and I love it, Kellen. Absolutely love the momentum that you've accelerated around. What does your business look like today? Like right now, on January the 26th, 2015, what does it look like?
It looks like I have some low-end introductory products. I have a two-day book writing seminar where I coach people to literally write a book in 2 days. I have a group coaching program, which, you know, people have a hangout once a week and get coached. I have private coaching. I have one-day intensives where people spend all day with me. I have multiple offerings all centered around the same thing, which I do, which is helping people discover, develop, and deliver their personal story and tie their unique strategic brand that Glenn talked about to that personal story so they become the answer in their niche instead of just another option. So that's what my business looks like right now. I'm closing deals in the high 5 and approaching 6-figure range. That is really exciting. I expect to grow exponentially again this year. So I expect to do significant growth this year. Without question, and my confidence is extremely high in making that happen. I see things coming together really nicely, and so that's where my business is today. I have a one-day, all-day intensive next week, which is a VIP day. Somebody's going to pay me well into 5 figures to come and spend all day with me next week. And so that kind of thing is exciting. I'm expecting those things to happen throughout the year and move forward on that scale at an order of magnitude bigger than I am right now.
Doing what others don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing, Kellen. We call that the seam of success, and I absolutely admire how you've executed in Omega Mind. You've moved forward for a second year with Omega Mind. Why have you done that? Just really quickly, just a quick one-word, short answer.
I thought there would be value. I don't do more things unless there's value.
How is your life different today before you and I started working together?
Well, first of all, I know you. Second of all, I got to know lots of people in the group. Third of all, I have the ideas and some that I left out because you mentioned more of those tools and I could talk about each one of those. And they are valuable too. And so I have more tools, I have more momentum, I have more fun, and I'm making more money. So I have more tools, I have more fun, and I'm making more money than 15 months ago before we met. So all of those things are part of my life now and are part of what I expect to have continue into the future.
What is Joy? And for those of you that don't know, Joy is Kellen's wife. What does she think about all this increased momentum?
She loves the income. She's my business partner too. She's my wife, but she's my business partner. And I would not do any justice to the business without saying that she is the designer and the implementer of tech stuff. She does the work of 2 or 3 people. She's a degreed designer, so fine arts and good stuff, banners and logos and pages and all that stuff. So she manages our back-end tech stuff. And I'm the talent in terms of on the camera and on the stage, but she is extremely valuable. She's a lot of fun to work with, and she participates not only in my events, she comes to Glenn's events, and as a full-blown participant. She's not a decoration by any stretch. Most people don't have that benefit or advantage to have somebody both be married to him and be a valuable and valued business partner. I happen to have that spectacular competitive advantage.
You are indeed blessed, Kellen. As I am too. What are your recommendations now, specific recommendations for our viewers?
My specific recommendations, first of all, is to act. Nothing matters until you take action. 3 steps in the wrong direction is better than no steps. And the reason is because you learn something not to do. You back up, you screw up, you waste a little time, you waste a little dough, and you say, all right, I know not to do that. And then pick something else. So my mantra is not ready, aim, fire. It's ready, fire, steer. If you can't do that, you won't make it in today's competitive market. Glenn says the big don't eat the small, the fast eat the slow. I like that. That's cool. It's true. So you have to move. You have to strategically pick the people that can give you what you don't have. Don't go buy a bunch of crap just to buy it. Strategically pick the assets that you don't do very well or that you don't know how to do. So that's number 2. Act, pick up the strategic assets and coaching you need. And the 3 C's for me are clarity, so you have to know exactly what you want, exactly what it looks and feels and tastes like. Number 2 is commitment. You have to be radically and totally committed to making it happen, and that includes the action. And number 3 is coaching. Unless you want to take forever to get there and do everything yourself the hard way, get some coaching. It's as simple as that. And you can say, no, that's just people trying to take my money. Okay, fine, do it yourself. I don't even care. Except that I know it's going to be sad, and most likely a year from now we'll be having this conversation. You'll be kicking yourself because you didn't. because I have that conversation with people all the time also. So clarity, commitment, and get some coaching so you can get some productivity now, implement now, take some action now, and I would definitely include Glenn's products and services on the list of things you should consider, look at, and see if they have strategic advantages and pieces that you don't have so you can pick up stuff. I, of course, would throw mine in there too, but hey, you need to pick up those things that you need and then implement.
I just want to just assert those 3 C's, clarity, commitment, and coaching. And I think a really valuable exercise for all of us is to, and just do it already, you know, and we're almost done the first month of 2015. Take a look at how undervaluing your advice is, what that has cost your company. Secondly, take a look at what overthinking has cost your company already. And I do this every single week. It's a mantra in my life. I look back over the previous month, the previous year, and take a look at what action steps, where I failed to execute fast enough, where I overthought, where I did not make speed my competitive advantage. And I start taking a look at what that has cost me. And I know I am well into easily in excess of about $3.5 million just over the last few years in lost momentum, and where, you know, my company could have grown even faster. So that's something that I'm just really anal about. I recommend that all of you do it. And if you are one of those, as I mentioned before, somebody like Kellen Flukiger, who's a quick thinker, who is a decisive decision maker, and you are a fast implementer, and you are tired and frustrated with undervaluing your advice, overthinking, and you would like to be considered, we do have an application process for our mentoring, and you can go to newgurumodel.com/mentoring 2015, newgurumodel.com/mentoring 2015. You can get some more information there. There's a private video that I have, some more details, and you can also download the application. It's actually an online application form that you can fill out, and you can get some more details around working with me directly. Every potential candidate is directly vetted by me around 5 very specific criteria, and if there are any issues at all in accessing the URL, or you want to talk to somebody directly in our company, our international office number is 519-542-3043, 519-542-3043. It's the same number that all of our clients phone. This is not a telemarketing company at all. I don't believe in them. I've never used telemarketers. I am excellent at assisting others in selling high-end programs and services without hype, and definitely you need to have some allure, and you definitely need to know how to position yourself to create intrigue and allure, but at the end of the day, you need to know how to organize your advice, and we call it the 3 Ps: positioning your advice, packaging your advice, and creating a strategic plan of action that's focused on what your competitors don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing. So on behalf of the great Kellen Flukiger and the entire Awaken team, I salute you to taking what we covered today. Please make it yours in your life, and please do this exercise. Look at, you know, what overthinking and what undervaluing your advice has cost your company, and make some fast strategic decisions in 2015. Have a great one, everyone. I look forward to our next Google Hangout next week. Thank you, Kellen.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.